The fall season has finally gone to the swing of things, so I thought we'd start things off with a show that I didn't think I was gonna watch, and I'm talking about Hoshiai no Sora. If you Google Hoshiai no Sora, you get this poster of these two really effeminate boys holding their soft tennis rackets very effeminately. Not that there's anything wrong with that per se, but that doesn't sound like a show that I would be interested in. But then I remembered something. I remember back in my old high school anime club, this is gonna sound kind of cringe here, but there was this one girl that I kind of liked, so she recommended me this show called Diabolical Lovers. And being the naive anime child that I was, I decided to watch it, and I just could not believe the level of insanity that happens in that show. Diabolical Lovers has this one scene where one of the many dudes, one of the many suitors, picks up the main girl, throws her into a pool, she starts drowning and says, "Come help me," and he says, "Tell me I'm the best." It was honestly so interesting seeing things from like a different perspective. Like, what does a woman consider a power fantasy? Like, what would she like to self-insert as? And I really found that very, very interesting. And because of that, every time I get bored of like bouncing titties, I go back, I climb up the slippery slope, I unslip myself, and I look at what's on the other side of the river, so to speak. Hoshiai no Sora, though, is not a full-on Fujo show. It's not a full-on reverse harem. There's definitely more boys than girls here. The whole point is that these boys want to rise up, and they've got their own thing going. But you can tell it's a Fujo show, despite the lack of male fan service, mainly because of the main self-insert female lead. She is literally the girl next door. Her name, I believe, is Mitsue Kaneko, and she has a crush on the main dude, Maki, but she, she's this introverted, shy girl who kind of gets bullied at school, and she knows that Maki is like way out of her league, but she still likes him anyway, and she's actually a pretty good artist, so she posts her art online, and then she seeks validation from it because she's actually a pretty good artist. It's very, very bread and butter, self-insert female lead type stuff. But despite all of this, I found myself thoroughly enjoying this show, and it's still really early, so I think you should jump in now. I really haven't spoiled that much. And it's about this guy, Katsuragi Maki, and Shinjo Toma. Katsuragi Maki has this like abusive relationship with his father, and that's the stuff I want to watch. Shinjo Toma, he's got a gay crush, or someone has a gay crush on him, but that's like not the main focus of his character arc. The main focus of his character arc is the fact that he has some kind of inferiority complex relating to his brother, so he's literally me in real life. Not to mention the show has such good character design for the female characters. I know, this is weird. Like the male dude characters, whatever, they don't look too generic, they look okay, but the female character designs, the one that stuck out to me the most was the student council president, because she looks overweight, but she's not like super overweight, like she's not done in like a funny way, like Japan making fun of fat people as usual, but it's like kind of in a slightly obese, slightly more fat than regular people. I thought that was pretty nice. I thought that was pretty good. I thought she was kind of cute. I also really like the senpai from the female tennis club. I think she's the captain. She's the tomboy character. I thought that was like a really good tomboy character design, because sometimes they go like too far and they make the character too beautiful and it doesn't really fit that kind of rugged aesthetic. What I'm trying to say is anime needs more cute tomboys for representation's sake. I know we had that show Hanabado, the one about badminton, but the show never explained how to actually play competitive badminton, so I had literally no idea what was going on, and the melodrama was just so stupid. The animation was great though. They like drew the sweat on her thighs, like that was amazing, but the story was just so poorly written. They never explained how to actually play badminton, so I had no idea what was going on, and the melodrama was so forced. I feel like if the characters just confronted each other, they could have solved like half their problems, and they do that in Hoshiai no Sora. That's what I like the most about Hoshiai no Sora. One of the guys, the Chad himself, Maki, he says like, hey, you guys have been practicing tennis for literally over a year and you're still so terrible. Explain to me how that's possible. And they accept their failure and they rise up. Why could they have not done that in Hanabado? That writing right there, that slice, that chunk was so good. Hoshiai no Sora, I highly recommend you check it out. There seems to be actual character development for the boys, and they actually seem to be rising up. Soft tennis boys, it's our turn to rise up. And there's only 2 episodes, so it's not too late for you to kind of jump on the bandwagon. Alright, so the next show I want to talk about is Kabukichou Sherlock. You know, this show is animated by Production IG, and Production IG, they're known for like really good quality, so it's really strange to see a Production IG show. Like, these guys are the guys that do Psycho-Pass and Shingeki no Kyojin. It's really surprising to see them produce an anime that gets less than a 7 out of 10. This show is sitting at a 6 out of 10, and if you go on Mal and try and look at reviews, there's no review. So these people are just choosing low scores without saying why they chose those low scores. I find it strange because I really enjoyed Kabukichou Sherlock. Kabukichou Sherlock is obviously a detective story following Sherlock Holmes, a Japanese Sherlock Holmes, and the way he investigates and solves mysteries is by rakugo, which is a type of Japanese theater where there's only one guy on set and he does all the voices. Think of it as an audiobook, and you know how when people voice act, they do actions and they like act in the character despite them voice acting? Like right now, I am moving my hands. You can't see me, but I'm moving my hands as I talk. That's something really normal. So what Kabukichou Sherlock does is they have Sherlock, when he discovers how the murder happens, he does a rakugo, a theater performance, where he plays the part of the audience that doesn't know how the murder was committed, and then he plays the part of Sherlock explaining how the murder was committed. Because in a lot of these murder mysteries, there's always like the constable and like Detective Conan who's like, how did this murder happen? And then, you know, the detective explains how the murder happened. But in this case, in Kabukichou Sherlock, Sherlock kind of explains it to himself in a way because he plays both characters, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was like a really interesting way to take the story of Sherlock Holmes and give it a very traditional Japanese coat of paint. I thoroughly enjoyed the mystery solving of Kabukichou Sherlock, but I'm pretty sure the reason why a lot of people dropped the show is because of everything else. It's not the writing, it's literally everything else surrounding the show. Oh, well, maybe except for the music. The music's really good. The problem is the character designs. So you know traps, right? People really like traps. Some people really like traps. I don't really like traps, but I can see why some people would really like traps. You have these really effeminate boys. There are traps in Kabukichou Sherlock, but they're more like real life traps where you have these fully grown men dressing up as women. Some people really like that. I don't think it's that interesting. I just see them as regular characters, whatever. But to someone who wants to watch like a waifu show, to someone who just wants to see cute girls, they're not gonna see this here. They're gonna see like really ugly characters. Like, they're not gonna like that kind of design at all. And I don't think this design is very mass market appealing. You can't take this character, like, look at this guy. This guy like throws you off the second you watch the show, and this doesn't happen once. This happens, you know, this is like a running theme of the show. Like, these kind of trans characters pop up a lot. There is a reason why like half of all anime is just cute girls doing cute things, because cute girls doing cute things is monetizable. People like to see that. You can make money off of it by selling figures. Just look at Astolfo. Like, this is what confuses me the most, because clearly if Production IG really wanted to, they could have just drawn a sexy flat-chested woman and just called it a boy. That's what they do for Astolfo. They could have literally just done that, but instead they decide to draw like the masculine features, the broad shoulders, the muscular arms. The guy even has a beard, and I know a lot of people are turned off by this aesthetic. I'm just so intrigued that Production IG would choose this kind of aesthetic. The real mystery of Kabukichou Sherlock is why they decided to go with this specific aesthetic, when they know people are going to be turned off. Like, people are already turned off by sexy girls. You think they're going to be turned on by cross-dressing muscular men? I just don't get it. That's the real mystery. Why Production IG decided to do this. And it kind of sucks because I really enjoyed the rakugo. I really enjoyed how they explained the murder mystery. And if you go on the Wikipedia page for rakugo, I decided to look it up. I decided to look up more rakugo. Maybe I could watch like a real theater production of it. It's like super bare bones. It's like a super niche thing. So it kind of sucks that this show is going to get thrown under the wayside because of the aesthetic of the show. What confuses me the absolute most is there is a cross-dressing female character who's pretending to be a man, but she's very cute. She's like a very handsome man, but the men cross-dressing as women are presumed to be shown to be ugly. So I don't know what they're trying to get across with this show. There's something more to it. The writer intended this, but why? Why did they go through with that aesthetic? It's just not consistent. I don't know what they're doing. The next show I want to talk about is No Guns Life, which is a manga adaptation, and I really enjoyed it because the action is quite frankly really well done. But what will stick out to you and what stuck out to me the most is the character design. The main character, Juzo, he has a gun for a face. So as far as crazy character designs go, this guy is definitely crazy enough to be inside a fighting game. This show has, quite frankly, some of the best animation this season. The fights are extremely well animated. The one part where he kind of like flicks the revolver on his fist and then punches a giant train, that part was actually really intense. Everything about this show is really good so far. I'm really enjoying the animation. I'm loving the opening. The opening is great. I do not skip that bad boy. Every time it comes up, I gotta watch it fully. The story though, the story could do a little bit of work. Hopefully Beryugen, the evil corporation, becomes more interesting than just being a evil corporation. I'm mainly talking about it just to raise awareness. I want more people to go out and watch No Gun Life. Give it a shot. It's really good. Now that we've talked about a bunch of really good shows, let's talk about some not so good shows that I'm probably gonna drop. So the first one is going to be Rifle is Beautiful. So when I first picked up the show, based on the name alone, I thought Rifle is Beautiful is going to be about girls shooting guns in like a school setting, like not as in a school shooter, more in like cute girls doing cute things, and this cute thing just so happens to be shooting guns. Like I really enjoyed Upote. I don't know if you remember Upote. It's the one about the girls that are literally guns. So like the guy like holds her and she's like, oh my god, my buttstock, stop grabbing my buttstock. Like that part was pretty epic, but I was hoping for something like that. But instead we got this show about cute girls doing cute things, but instead their club activity is shooting laser rifles, and the laser rifle aspect is kind of lame just because that they did not explain the rules of the game. They only explained how they got points. They don't explain how the competition is done. We know this main girl really enjoys rifle shooting. Well then share with us your passion. Why are you passionate about this sport? Why is this important? Why should we care? But we never have that explained to us. They always just jump around and say, oh my god, look at this jacket. This is the jacket used for shooting the guns. Like, I don't care about this stuff. Your guns have literally no recoil. I don't know what's so difficult about this. Please explain your sport to me. But they refuse to. The show cannot be carried by these cute girls alone. Normally when you have cute girls doing cute things, they spend a long time explaining the cute things, and the cute things kind of take the forefront of the show until the girls have enough built up that they can carry the show. The main issue as I see it for Rifle is Beautiful is that they didn't build up these characters, and then they just give us exposition on these characters instead of the sport, and I just don't care about these characters yet, so it's just so boring. The next show I want to talk about is Honzuki no Gekokujou, or Ascendance of a Bookworm, which is another isekai, but I decided to give it the time of day mainly because it follows a girl getting isekai'd instead of a dude getting isekai'd. Whenever a dude gets isekai'd, it's always literally the same story beats. He gets his harem, he becomes uber Chad, he rises up. So what would a girl isekai be like? Right off the bat, we get something really different because most of the time in dude isekais, if they get reincarnated, they start as a baby, or they just get teleported like in a ReZero or something. For Main, the main character of this show, she kind of takes over the body of another girl that existed within that world. So in a way, did she kill that girl? Did she kill the person that she took over? Or did the person she take over just combine the two personalities together? Like there's some deep philosophical shit that they could go into, and they do mention it once, but they never revisit it. It's never brought up again. It's not the point of the show. So far, we have 3 episodes out, and all 3 episodes can be summarized as her taking like modern inventions and modern techniques and taking them to like a more primitive era. She teaches them basket weaving. She does stuff like make pancakes, and it's all good and it's all happy, and I'm really enjoying it. But in the back of my mind, like I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one thinking this. When is the witch hunt's gonna happen? Like someone's gonna be like, this girl mine, like how is she better than me? Where does she invent soap? This is unacceptable. I'm jealous. I'm gonna call the church, and the church is gonna burn her at the stake. Like, this is Japan. The church being the good guys is like probably one of the rarest things possible. The church is almost always evil, and the fact that they mentioned the church so early gives me pause. Like, please guys, don't hurt this lolly. We must protect this smile. Oh, and I know no one else is watching this show, but I might as well talk about it anyway. I'm talking about Stand By Heroes, I believe. Yeah, Stand By Heroes Piece of Truth. So Stand By Heroes Piece of Truth is another one of those shows where it's like one girl and a bunch of really hot guys. And the story here is there's like this marijuana going on in Japan. We can't allow this to happen. So they form a special task force whose job is to track down where this weed is coming from and to shut it off. So our main character, this girl, she shows up and she is immune to drugs. Like, that's her thing. She is completely immune to drugs. Like, there's this one part where this dude tries to drug her and drag her off, but she's immune. So she like gets out of this really sticky situation and this really hot guy comes in and saves her. I just watched it on a whim, and there's this one scene that honestly surprised me, and it's how fluid the animation is. There's this guy who runs at her with a knife and he starts slashing away, and it was done pretty well. It was actually better animated than some of the purely action series, which was kind of weird, man. But despite kind of enjoying the show, I'm dropping it, and it's mainly because I cannot stomach the weird Adobe After Effect they do on the show. So they have this thing, you know how in like flashbacks, the side of the screen is all white? That makes sense, right? Because it's a flashback and they're changing the scene. In these kind of like Fujo shows, in these shows aimed at women, they use really light colors, and I'm not sure why the side of the show is like all whiteified. I'm not sure why they're doing this. I'm not sure why they're making it look like a dream sequence. Fujos care to explain? There's another show I want to talk about. I'm just rapid firing now because I need to go study for an exam. It's called XL Joushi. And the story is there's this woman who can only be satisfied by XL sized condoms. Like, your dick needs to be XL sized, otherwise she can't be satisfied. That's the entire premise of the show. She goes drinking with her boss one day, like her annoying boss. Ew, this guy is so annoying. But he's like Uber Chad or something. And then he takes her home and he's a really nice guy. When he looks at her room and he sees these like massive dildos and he sees that she carries around these massive condoms and he's like, oh man, XL size, that's literally me. And of course, me watching the show, I can totally self-insert as the guy needing the XL sized condom. So watching the show, I felt like I got some equal representation, and there's actually some pretty good fan service despite the fact that it was like all blurred out. We got some fan service of the woman herself. I'm surprised they didn't like shove the dude's six-pack in our face all the time. Like, I thought this show was aimed at women, but there are some scenes where we get to see the sexy bits of the girl. So that confuses me. Is this show for dudes who want to see the sexy girl, or is this show for women who want to see a dude with, you know, a big package? We'll probably never find out who this show is for because no subgroup has picked up this show. Not even Leopard Roz, like no one has picked up the subbing of this show. And before you ask, I only picked up this show just to see if my Japanese is good enough to understand porn level scenarios and acting. Yeah, my Japanese was good enough to understand that kind of stuff. I actually would like to talk more. I want to talk about Enen no Shobutai and the complete nosedive in quality that has happened since the little break they had. But I actually got to go study now, so I'm going to cut things a little short here. Wait, don't you have a test coming up? Oh, it's still quite a ways away, isn't it? Well, you should start studying anyway, man.